Bang! Neeves Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out the new breed EDC WINGSPAN. And I've carried this thing very little, but so far from the little bit I have been carrying it, I like this thing quite a bit, like a lot. This thing's really well done. And there are some little subtle changes that might happen. I'm not sure if he's gonna or not. I'm gonna tell you what I think just on what we have right here, but it will be up for pre-order. And I'll show you the paper and all the information, everything all at once here in just a moment. But September 16th, I think. September 16th for 145 bucks. $145. That's a phenomenal deal. Now, if you wait till after the pre-order, or if you wait till they drop, it will be a little bit more money, but not much. I think like 150 versus 145, so not a big deal. But S35 VN blade steel, that's how he's keeping the price down. This is titanium with carbon fiber. I want to go over all that stuff right now. So the blade, like I said, S35 on the production version. This one's a prototype, so it is in D2. Love the sheep's foot blade shape. This is going to be very intuitive for use, especially with something so lightweight and so narrow. The grind is relatively thin. It's going to be plenty slicey. The sharpening tool and plunge grind, perfect job on that. A lot of life to sharpen off. You got all the way to right there. Perfect sharpening tool and plunge grind, and acts as a finger tool. Now, he did say something about enlarging it. I don't think he should. I think this is perfect just the way it is. This pinch right here is really nice, and since there's no flipper tab, you already have a space to rest there. So I personally like the way it is. Handle is very narrow, not very, but it's narrow, and you can see the titanium is machined, but it's very smooth. You almost don't even feel the traction. It feels very soft in the hand, and then you can see they machined out the titanium in order to put the carbon fiber inlays in, which makes this very, very lightweight because carbon fiber is so light. Now, another thing, the balance of this thing is really, really nice. I think this thing has great balance. It flows in your hand really nicely. And the size of it, personally, I like narrow, long knives, so this is right up my alley. I love the ergonomics. I think they're great. I do feel the clip right here just a bit, but I will say the clip works extremely well in and out of the pocket. Happy to say that. It does have carbon fiber inlays, which I do think is a nice little touch, but because it's so long and it's put in the way it is, it leads to a very little tension for it to go over the seam of your pocket. So it winds up working really well. That's my point. It's not going to be super tight in the pocket, but personally, I don't prefer them to be super tight. Titanium back spacer. There is a little bit of machining on some of the titanium in little parts to even bring down a little bit more weight. Great access to the lock bar. It does have a nice comfortable disengagement. The detent ball, when you disengage it, is very early, so you do not have to fumble around with that when you disengage. You can just drop it right down, and it's very smooth. It does have a hole that is similar to like a fuller deployment, but it has a decently sharp edge, so it's very easy to do. And you have plenty of room to put your nail in there, or just use your skin. The thumb works well. And then you have great jimping on this top flipper. Being a stone wash, an edge stone wash, I'm sure that the edges were knocked down a bit, and I'm sure like if this was a satin version, that it would be a bit sharper. I don't think it would matter. I think right now the way it is great, and if they were a little sharper, it'd be great. So no issues with that. You can easily function this front flipper. I have zero problems with it. He said he might increase the detent slightly. I'll say if you do that, then just make sure that this edge is nice and sharp, and make sure that these are relatively sharp, which they already are. But, when you increase the detent strength, those things start changing. The stop pin is an internal stop pin, which is the way I always prefer it. Like I said, the ergos, man, they're great, man. This is a knife you can use in any direction, and because of the slimness, it's very intuitive to use. Like you feel like you can twist it and turn it in any direction. Now, let's look at this paper really quick, and then I want to talk about some of this stuff. So if you look here, here's all the information. You can see all that. Now let's look at the changes. Saying he's talking about the overlay. We're going to talk about that in a second. You can read it. And it might strengthen the detent. It might extend and widen the finger choil slot. And then there's the pre-order information. Now, he's talking about knocking this. I don't know exactly what he's talking about doing, but let me just talk about it really quick from my perspective. One, you got to be careful with this right here, because one is that most of the time you get pinched in between there, and not saying on this knife, I'm saying on other knives. And this being flush with the scale, with the lock bar, can make it difficult to disengage. However, he did it perfectly well, cutting back the access. So there's plenty of access. So you go from the side. So you don't have to worry about fumbling around with it from the front. So I personally don't have a problem with it. He says it's sharp, a little bit sharp. My fingers just wrap nicely around there. Granted, I have loss of feeling right there. So maybe I just don't have no problem with it. So personally, I think it's fine just the way it is. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else I would do. If you do cut it back slightly, you can do that, which just exposes the lock bar a little bit, but it's got to be a very, very small amount. So just so that the lock bar is a tiny bit exposed. That does lead to better access to the lock bar. This is very easy to use left-handed. He might want to think about doing a reversible clip, since it is such an easy thing. He just needs to put a little gap right there. Same thing as here. You know, and you can use that same screw. So, you know, I'm not sure if he's planning on doing that or not, but the paper I don't think says anything about that. So access to the lock bar and, you know, this little area right there, I have no problem with. I wouldn't extend the choil. I think all in all, the only thing I would really change is the clip is just a little bit springy. So maybe just make the ramp slightly bigger. So what I would do is it would still be just as springy from back here, but would have more point of contact on the scale. So that's, you know, that's something very small. And if it didn't change, I don't think it matters. So all in all, man. Oh yeah, another thing. I personally would love to see a satin DLC version. Think about that. With the black carbon fiber and the black titanium hardware, think about just a solid black with a vertical satin blade where the satin's running straight up and down right here on a DLC. You know, maybe charge, you know, $10, $15 more or something. That would be amazing. Amazing. The price is right for this. So they did a great job, or he did a great job. So there you guys go. New breed EDC. Again, I will show you the paper. You can go and check him out. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.